Hello everyone, my name is Brian, also known as Farron over on the forums. I am the product manager of LaunchBox. Welcome this Friday. It's a beautiful Friday afternoon. Hopefully everyone's having a good time, and of course this stream, as most people know, is for anyone interested in LaunchBox or Big Box or themes of any kind. Any questions can be brought up in this stream during this time. If you have any questions, you can leave it down in the comments below. If you're watching this on YouTube later, send me a message on the forums, and I will bring it up and try my best to answer all of them the best I can. How's everybody doing in the comment section today? Santiago, hopefully you're doing well this Friday. Lex, the saddest frog around, hope you're doing well. And Edward, thank God it's Friday. LaunchBox theme streams means it's almost quitting time on a Friday. Educational and relaxing way to end the day. That's good to know. Mr. Retrola, super handyman. Why can't it be kept from crashing in Windows 10? I don't know, you might have some other things going on your computer if it's crashing for you. I do recommend heading over to the community forums or going to our Bitbucket and seeing if anybody over there can help you out and figure out what's conflicting with the LaunchBox install that you're trying to get running. But as all things, there's always hardware and software things going on that could be kept from giving you the best experience that you can. And Matt, hope you're doing good today. But it's been an interesting week here in LaunchBox land. We got our 11.16 has been released, and 11.17, just a sort of a bug fix, just went in recently. And that came with a bunch of performance improvements. We got more down the pipeline, but hopefully people are liking what they see in LaunchBox for the most part. The scrolling performance definitely beautiful to behold, especially on the dynamic sizing boxes if you're still using those, or if you're using those. We had, of course, the main thing, which was the big release of the new LaunchBox for Android app. And I'm not sure if everybody had the time to play around with that, but it's going pretty well. People seem to be loving it. I love it. Been using it on all my Android devices, and it's been really great. And I know last week, actually a couple things happened last week that I should probably bring up. The first one is that I was having trouble doing using an opacity mask with a border inside of a flow control. And that just seems to be because that stuff doesn't work, in the sense that you can't seem to call a border up. I think, actually, now that I think about it, maybe there's a way to get that to work. But what did work was using an image opacity mask. So if you haven't figured it out, and if you're curious, the app is released. I did end up just calling it Modern X. Let me just take a look. All right, we'll get to that in a second. It's over on the forum. So I did manage to get that corner radius look on all of the items. And so you can go over there, you can take a look at how it's done in the code and all that good stuff. I posted both the code or the theme and the project files, even though the project files won't have the code for the wall view. So you can see, sorry, I did get that sort of corner radius look. And then I added a couple of just list views that are basically the same. But yeah, we managed to do it. Looked pretty good in the end. And we are good to go. How else? Yeah, so Super Handyman, you're loving the Android app. That's good to hear. I know there's lots of updates to come. Big plans for that thing. Can LaunchBox Android use an external drive? Yes, it can, actually. I'm not sure in all situations, they should work. And I'm not sure if there's stuff that you have to do to kind of jig that together. I did manage to use an external drive on my TV Android box. That was cool. And all I did was export my stuff using the export wizard, which is here, export to Android. And then I just exported a bunch of games and then put it on an external hard drive, plugged that bad boy into my Android box, and was basically up and running. And JJ the Killer 8, does the Android version work with DuckStation? I'm not sure if the Android version works with DuckStation. I'm assuming that you mean the standalone DuckStation Android app. And I know that if it doesn't yet, then I know Jason would be working hard to try to get it to work. Now, do know, and I don't know if this is the case, that there are some apps that are built in a specific way that just don't allow functionality for a front end to like inject the game, to load the game on its behalf. So what you end up happening is you use a specific emulator, and this is happening with Nintendo 3DS if you haven't noticed that it wasn't included in the Android app. Like, we tried, and all of the apps that we know of, if you try to open up the Citra emulator through LaunchBox, it opens up the emulator, but it will not let you launch a game. So because a lot of people were asking for it, I think that we're gonna just add the 3DS in anyway, with a disclaimer saying like, well, this app, like, we literally just can't launch the game for you, but we can launch the app for you. And so at least we'll have that. Now, I don't know if DuckStation is the case, but if not, and it's good to go, I know that we're going to be adding more emulators, as many as we can, on your behalf. We do have the ability to add custom emulators, but they're apparently a pain in the butt to set up, because they require all these Android numbers that we wouldn't just know like offhand. So we try to do that for you. And Andy Johnson, you bought the big box license for Windows. Do you have to buy another license for Android? Yes, unfortunately, it is a separate purchase. There is a post on the forums in the Android section that will just explain, if you look at the state for the Android, and just gives you sort of a breakdown, sort of like a facts of our thinking and what we did to bring it back and why we brought it back. And just know that like all the money that's going into this that you're purchasing is going straight back into development. It's what allows us to have these theme workshops and allows us to have that like blazing fast update schedule, because we have employees just working on it full time, and that's just thanks to everybody. On Super Handyman, you bought a Galaxy Tab S7. I hear they're really good tablets. I've tried it in the store, but I never purchased one. But yeah, those are really good. And is the app compatible with the Shield TV? It is compatible with the Shield TV. I've got one, and yeah, they're great devices. Depending on the model, they should all work now. There was some hiccups earlier just because the Shield TV has sort of a custom setup that was created by NVIDIA. So I know, especially as of last night, Jason was working like vigorously to try to make it work with every single version that people were throwing at him. Then there's so many more versions than I thought there was, right? There's like different iterations per year, and then each version had like a tube version and like a gamer version and some other versions, and I don't know, it should work now. So yeah. And all that's live. So you should be able to just go and download the latest copy from the website and set it up on your Shield TV, or like my main box isn't even a Shield TV. I'm using like a Mi Box S or something like that. And even that was doing pretty good. Anyway, so yeah, lots of exciting things. And I was looking at the Android, and I saw somebody mention. Okay, the second second thing I should bring up is that I know for anybody curious that might be watching these in order. Last week I said, hey, I'm going to be doing some a retro. I'm going to go back to like a retro theme and build this retro theme that I've been wanting to build for a long time, but basically mimicking what an old 80s style retro gaming magazine would look like. And I was completely planning on doing that, but things got sidetracked, things got in the way. I've been focusing heavily on getting every one of you guys up and running on the Android app, which is the best solution that we could do. And so I was looking at the Android app, and I saw some people posting about, okay, look at these views here, seemingly simple in nature, very nice and clean. Do these work in Big Box? And I thought about it for a while. Like, do we have any apps that look exactly like this in Big Box? And then what would it take to make this in Big Box? I got the background fan art with probably some sort of fade, just the box art. You've got the clear logo wheel, and then some metadata here, which you can simulate. And then I was thinking, maybe we don't have anything like that. And then I realized, I'll just build it. So I'll use today, and I'll look at these Android builds, and the benefit of, I think, what this build will do, although we'll find out, is it should be modular enough to change so that it can work on like different aspect ratios, like 4:3, 16:9, 16:10, all those things. At least I'll try my best. And if it doesn't, then at least I could probably easily port it to different aspect ratios and release it. So I thought that'll be a good stream. We can take a look at how easy it is to port our own theme. And so that if you guys do find a theme somewhere, or you find a picture somewhere like this, and like, that would be a cool theme, that maybe you can go pick up the community theme creator and create it yourself. And that's really the goal. And then you can come and share it with everybody over on the forums. And JJ the Killer, are you considering a Google Play release? We actually had a Google Play release, and we spent a lot of time getting rid of Google Play recently. So we at the moment, we're not going to go back to Google Play. There is a number of technical reasons why and financial reasons why it just doesn't make sense. And just they try to, it's much harder to fix things for you guys as well. It just, like, if we wanted to do a simple fix, like let's say in the NVIDIA Shield one that we did last night, that would most likely take like a week or longer instead of just one night. And so it makes a lot more sense that we control that whole process for you, to just being able to provide the best experience we possibly can for you. And Super Handyman, can you incorporate our jukebox build into LaunchBox Big Box? When you say jukebox build, are you talking about the program MusicBox Alpha? You should be able to provide a link for it so it launches it, if that's what you're saying. Or do you want like a full migration of it, which we do have a music player in LaunchBox, but not 100%. I mean, it's not MusicBox Alpha, that's for sure. And that's right, Edward. Yeah, we're not doing it this time around. And you're saying, did you ever fix Mortal Kombat 11? So a particular game, it's not loading in Big Box because of how long it takes to load. I did not hear that was a problem. Never played Mortal Kombat 11. Seemed like an interesting game. but yeah, this is the first time I've heard of it. I don't know if you can go onto the forums. I'm not sure if anybody else is playing that. And I also don't know why it would be a problem for it to load a long time. Or if, like, eventually I would just assume it would load. And Gautami, how you doing? Hope you're doing well today. Sluggy, hope you're doing well today as well. Happy Friday. Hopefully no one's working too hard. And Sluggy, where do you put the system videos? So like the platform videos, and you give the example, the ones that Critical Sid has done for the Super Nintendo. So if you mean platform videos, like if you were searching through a platform view, like this one, even though this one doesn't have video, and you stop at like Super Nintendo, it plays a video. If you're talking about that video, then you would put it. So let's say this is your LaunchBox folder. Then you would, we have a folder called videos. So you'd head over in there, and then we've got another folder called platforms, and you'd head in there, and there they all are. Just make sure that they have the name of the exact platform. And that's one way. Like if you changed from the LaunchBox standard, you would have to just rename the file to whatever you called it in. So like here you can see Atari 2600 is what I called this platform, and the file is called Atari 2600. The other way that you can do it is that we do have a built-in download playlist and platform theme videos manager here, basically, or downloader. And here it's going to scan all of my platforms and playlists, and we're going to find out whether one exists for any of them. And if it does, it's going to find it, and it's going to give me the different options, video options that it allows. I'm not sure if Critical Sid's videos are shown here or not. I feel like the unified ones are in this list somewhere. So you could also do it this way and then choose whichever videos you want to download. And then you would just hit the OK button, and then you would just see it download. And it just downloads it and places it in that same folder. If you already have them, and you can just copy and paste them into that folder yourself. So those are the two ways. And Nani, good evening from Norway. Oh, glad, hopefully Norway's doing good today. I know here in Canada, it's we're under a heat wave, and it's been really, really hot. Oh, and then that's good to know, Obsidian, you launch Mortal Kombat 11 all the time. Well, that's good that another person is playing Mortal Kombat 11. It does seem like a good game. Maybe I should try it out. All right, so let's take a look. I mean, we've got a number of examples here we can use, but basically, here's the two best ones, because one is with the clear logos and one is with the list. I'm pretty sure we can do this. I'm going to try to build the 4x to a 4:3 aspect ratio, and then we'll see what happens. Mr. Retrolust, you're opening your can of beer. It's that time on a Friday. And Forshalp or Forsha LP. Good evening from Germany. Will there be any other payment methods anytime? Yeah, you're from Germany, right? So, and like you're saying, credit cards are not common. We are aware of the issue. We know that we can only right now offer credit cards, and we're sorry for that. We are looking at different options, payment options, but remember, every single payment option that we look at, we then have to see how to incorporate it into our payment method in the delivery of the licenses for you guys, which is kind of scary, right? We don't want to screw that up. And then every single payment method, has a cost, and we'll have to see. We do have some stuff in mind. Nothing screaming out that makes it an easy win, or a win for us, really. But we will keep looking, especially for you guys in Germany, to see what we can do for you. Let's take a look. So, like always, let's jump into the community theme creator. If you don't know or have never used it before, it is available over on the forums. You can just go over to our download section. I don't know if I've ever done this. Go to the download section right here. Go into, the simplest way is to go into our third-party apps and plugins section. And there it is, Community Theme Creator. And a guy by the name of Y2 Guru, or I just call him Dave, he's the one that's been building this over the last bunch of years. And, it's an amazing program, and it can build big box themes really, really well. So let's take a look. Oh, and you guys, I've been spending some time, I haven't had a lot of time, taking a look at Viking. So Viking's handed over the colorful theme to me, and he's created a bunch of images on what he would want future views to look like. And so here's one of his new views, and it's basically an overhaul of the text list view. And I actually basically have this one done, and it's looking pretty good. Let's take a look. What do we want to call this app? I'm terrible with names. Yeah, so the goal with Colorful is that I'll be including all of as many of these new views that he's tried to create as possible, bundle it into an app. There is a beta of this version of Colorful on the forums in the Big Box Custom Themes section. And eventually it's just going to replace the one that he has on the forum, because there's a number of issues with the ones that he does have. It's kind of being held by a string right now. And this one will provide us a much easier way of keeping it updated for you guys. Oh, thanks, Mr. Retrolust. Yeah, I can't take a lot of the credit. Viking did an amazing job at making a nice Photoshop mock-up, and I just sort of copied it into a theme. Okay, so let's, like, my first thought is that I'm going to call this something to do with Android, but that would just be confusing. Everyone would think that that's a theme for Android. So I'm just going to call it something with simple. Simple new theme for now. I will definitely change that name later. I just don't want to sit here. If anybody has a cool name for this theme, let me know. And then I'll rename it. Okay, let's start on that games view. I'm really excited. So let's say I wanted to go to an aspect ratio. You can see here that there's so many aspect ratios that you can choose. I'm going to choose 4:3 because that's sort of what I wanted to work on. And then I'll see what it looks like in all the other aspect ratios. It should scale up proportionately automatically with the community theme creator. So let's take all these views. So we just basically need a wheel games view, the first one here. And let's take a look at what we have. Okay, so of course the view will generate two mandatory elements. The first one is the wheel. Right now we can't see what the wheel looks like, although Dave did spend the weekend or some days of this week looking at it while he's on his work vacation. It's not a vacation, on his work trip. So he's trying to make that work. Let's lock to canvas. Okay, perfect. So this will be what the wheel looks like, and as you can see in the picture, let's just take a look so we can remind ourselves what this looks like. So there appears to be some space here, not a lot, and then some space here between this and the thing here. But there's one thing I kind of wanted to know, and that's what happens with a horizontal box like a Super Nintendo box. I feel like a lot more of the screen is taken up. That's my thought anyway. So let's leave some space on this side, that like so. Let's make sure that I do have the full size, so 1440. Yeah, that's the height of my screen. And then we've got this index that we've got to deal with right now. But there we go. Let's keep it here somewhere. And might as well center it. Should be good about here. So we got the two main elements out of the way. What do we actually have in this view? We've got a background, we've got a box art, we've got the wheels, which I'll have to set. It looks like all of the wheels are slightly faded, but the selected wheel, you can do that, but it will require some coding on my part to get that accomplished if we want to go that route. Let's start with the background. So there's two ways I could do this background. The first way is to take an image, place it in the background. Hey, why don't I just create a new group just to get it out of the way and organized? And we'll call this the background group. Now, groups don't actually do anything. They just allow you to organize your elements here. We'll bring it down here and we'll call it background. Full screen button. Actually, that's not what I want to do, is it? And there's a reason for that. Let's take a look at what I do if I decide to use the full screen button. Okay, now let's take a look at, I'm going to do a metadata. Look at all these different metadata options that we have. You know, we can have game box front. Well, that's not what we want though. We want the fan art background, and there's a reason why I choose fan art background. You'll see here, oh well, that didn't work, because most fan art backgrounds are 16 by 19, and so now I've got this black thing at the bottom. So one thing I can do is I've got these stretching options. Stretch, so I can fill. Well, that's just sort of stretched it to the full extent. Well, that kind of looks funky. I can uniform to fill. It's like, okay, but I lose part of the image on that side, which, is what I'm going to have to happen. But what seems to be happening is I've got the left side of the image here, and I'm losing the right side of the image. So I would much rather have this image centered. That would make more sense to me. So naturally you would think, well, why don't I just center it? And then you'll notice that that doesn't actually work, because that's not how XAML works, unfortunately. And so there's two ways that you can accomplish this. One way is sort of like a fake center, which you can do by unlocking to the canvas, making this actually 19 like widescreen, and then placing it in the middle. And that would work, but maybe not the best way. Another way you can do it that might be a little better is to use a dock. And JJ, the killer widgets on the home screen for Android TV would be dope. That does sound pretty cool. very niche, as I'm assuming, I'm not sure how many people are using Android TV, but definitely post that over on the forums. I know we're definitely vigorously looking at any suggestion that comes up right now, just to see if it's possible, like what's possible, and maybe include that in a future update. Yeah. And Austin, you might be spending way too much time playing with this. Hey, I spend so much time playing with it, and I spend all night and weekends like playing with it. Yet I'm spending all day playing with it too. So I know how that feels. And hey, Jay's Arcade. Hopefully you're doing well this Friday. All right, so what was I doing? I'm going to... Oh, and I don't think I thanked you. That you seem to be piecing together all the mess that I say in these and trying to make sense of them over on the forum. So yeah, thanks for doing that. So what does this dock do? So if I do a dock and I make the dock full screen, put the background into the dock, and for some reason it's showing really tiny, which is strange in and of itself, but I might have to auto size it. Yeah, there it goes. I don't stretch it. Instead, I uniform to fill. All right, so now we're back where we were. Except what you notice is, I don't know if changing this, now if I change the alignment, it's actually adhering to what I want. So there you go. Put it in a dock, and now you can place any image where you want horizontally and align it vertically as well. The trick is to make sure that it's auto size, which actually within the XAML file will say something like width equals auto or height equals auto. Basically saying fill the space in with its contents, whatever the contents is. And so now that I have it kind of centered, because most backgrounds kind of mostly center their characters or elements. All right, and then back to the topic of, okay, why do I choose backgrounds? The goal of this, and something that users would have to know about, is that background is a great element to have something obviously in the background, but not everybody use backgrounds. So what I'd recommend is that, and where, okay, here it is. What I'd recommend is that every user go into the options, if not already, go into their background priorities, and then always have, I don't even have it. I think I reset this recently for a test. Screenshot gameplay checked. And what that will do is that'll make it so there's more likely something in the background for you when using most themes. You know, get your backgrounds in there and then get a screenshot. And then so if there isn't a background, it will fall back for you to any screenshot that you might have and then fill the background with something. All right, back to the theme. The second thing that I notice is that the background sort of has a there's one of two things happening. Either the background has a something over it, something black, like a border or a rectangle or something, and then that rectangle's faded a particular percent so that you can see the background in front behind it, or they change the opacity of the background. Now, I would more than likely, because the background by default is already black, I'm going to most likely prefer changing the opacity so that I don't have to add a new element into this canvas, hopefully helping with performance a little bit. So I can either change the background opacity or the dock, and the dock will change any of the items inside of it. And you'll see here, so if I do 50% here, so now we're kind of starting to see the black that's sort of at the back of every canvas. And by doing this, you're basically just controlling kind of like the colors and the brightness, the contrast, trying to reduce that. So if somebody has a very bright contrasted background versus a dark contrasted background, at least it'll even out a tiny bit. I almost feel like maybe even 30. I want to see it, but I don't want it to be the focus of what I'm seeing, if you know what I mean. Okay. All right, so I think we're good. Now let's look at some foreground elements. Let's just look at the box. I don't know if there's anything else that needs to go there. We're going to do another image. I'm just going to call this box art. And we can position this however way that we want. But we're going to have to make a decision because I'm noticing a couple things here. Okay, so this takes up quite a huge chunk of the screen, and then it leaves maybe 20% at the bottom for the text. So we can go further here to about there. Okay. So I'm going to center it. I'm going to have to do something. I'm going to have to maybe we'll center it, or we'll position it at the bottom, although that might look not great. Let me think about this. Actually, there's a way that we can do this that's even better. So this would make the image stay inside this box. But there's a problem with that, because every single time that you have a different style box, either I have to position it vertically to the bottom, making it so that it always has the same amount of space to the text. But with a horizontal box, and I'll show you the problem with that later, is that it might just leave a giant space between the box and the text. So let's take a look at what that would look like and what I'm actually saying here. So I'll just create a new group and I'll call it information. Again, these groups are just for organizational purposes. What actually happens is the further up you go, and this is the same in Photoshop, by the way, the further up that you go, the more in front of the other elements it is. So if you want to position something behind another element, then you just bring it down. Okay, so let's actually make this box art. So it's metadata. And where's the game box front? There you go. Is there a shadow there? I'm not sure. In fact, I can't tell. I think there is. Might as well just add one. So let's add a drop shadow. Bring it in a little bit. Depth is how far away the shadow is, and blur radius is how blurry it is. So let's. You can barely see it. Where are you, shadow? There it is. You can kind of see it now. Let's bring it back in. And now let's blur it out. There you go. Nice. So it looks like it's floating just a tiny bit off of the canvas there. And what am I missing? 1010, when you buy Forever License for PC, does it also come with the Android version? It looks like you got your answer, but yes, the Android license is separate. It's a separate purchase. It has its own sort of licensing scheme. It is $10. And for $10, you do get the full application and a year's worth of updates. And then there's the other option if you want a lifetime's worth of updates. It's $15 more, which you can upgrade to later if you want. So you can buy the $10 app as an example. And then a year later, if you are happy with it and you're wanting to just transfer over to a lifetime license, then you would only have to pay the difference. So just $15 more. And Mr. Retroless, you just love drop shadows. We'll just add it to everything. Ooh, so JJ the Killer, you want an all games section that just lists all your games in one giant wheel. I don't think that exists right now, but that is something that would be planned for a future update. And I'm glad to know that you would be interested in that. Oh yeah, and Edward, yeah. What's the Android pricing for people that have the original version? So this is what we decided to do. Even though, 2 years ago you might have purchased the original Google Play for like $5, we would have received about $350 of that money 2 years ago. We will honor all of your purchases from that Google Play Store. The problem is we cannot port those purchases out of Google Play system. It's a limitation to the Google Play dev portal. Now, what we can do is we can search for your purchase. So what we are going to do for anybody that has purchased it in the Google Play Store, if you haven't already, send me an email, support@unbrokensoftware.com. It should be listed on the website as well. So if you just go to the website, you'll see those instructions in the Android section. And we will give you a forever license for free. So we will check to make sure that you did purchase it. We will port over. I might ask you a few questions. We will port over just so I can find your purchase. And then we'll port that over to our new system and generate you a forever license. So definitely take advantage of that if you haven't. And that's a forever license for the Android app. Okay. Information. Let's take a look at what I was talking about here. So let's do some text. To be honest, I don't even know what font that was used. I should have asked that question. So this would be the game title. And so let's make it the game title. So metadata, I think it's game. There it is. We're going to center this up. And then we're going to, man, what do you guys think that is? It's like a, I don't know, it's like a Garamond or something. Where am I clicking? Font? Or a Georgia? Let's take a look. I don't think it's quite this font. You know what? Why don't I just ask? All right, but it's something like this, I guess. What does Georgia look like? Hey, Retrolust. Yeah, have a good Friday. Glad you stopped by. We definitely need to make that bigger. So I'd want the title to maybe span this length. And I would also want it to wrap. So if it gets too long, create a second row. we should have enough space for that. Okay, so now I'm going to answer your question. Alex, you've noticed that the videos pause playing. So they pause playing, I'm assuming game videos or like video snaps, that sort of thing, when you hit the back out of the game window with the themes that you use. So in the themes that you use, when you exit a game, you go back into Big Box. Oh, okay. So when you go back into Big Box, the videos just sits there and paused. Try out some different themes. I would say try out the default theme, because that probably has the most recent code, and just see if that's what's happening with you. I don't remember it always happening like that, though. I know there's different video ways that themes can add videos to a theme. And so depending on the different video code will depend on what exactly you're seeing. Okay, so, and let me just double check. I've got this theme actually looking the same. So it's something like that. It's so tiny I can't tell whether there's a shadow there, but hey, I'm gonna add one. It'll just sort of be there, floating. I almost wonder what it would be. So let's say I just wanted to take the box art, copy the box art, and I can paste just the effect part of it. And that was weird, but at least we got what we needed. Yeah. So it should be floating just as good as the box. I'm so glad you're excited about the Android app, and hope you use it. And yeah, provide us feedback over the forums. Let us know any suggestions you might have, or what you like or not like about it. We love to hear that, just so that we know we're on the right path. But for sure, we have lots of plans for that. Okay, some things I want to do is I do want to put the elements at the top. Okay, so what is the problem with this layout? You know, it looks great. Like, you've got the title, you've got the box art. As I switch, the box art and the background switch in as well. Now, let me switch over to the Super Nintendo. I don't know how much background I have on this. Now, just know that the community theme creator does not take into account that image priorities. So you won't see screenshots unless you port it into the big box, and then you'll notice that the screenshots will show up. So for any games I don't have background art, I'm just going to see black in the background in the community theme creator, which means I do need to find a game that has background art. But what are you noticing? You're noticing now that the box art is vertically aligned to the bottom, and now, you know, it's okay, but it's not centered. So then the question is there a way to, no matter what size the box art is, horizontally, or let's say vertically, I should say, can I just make this centered? Can I make this centered? Can I make this centered, aligned, the same amount of space between them, and just have it sort of in the middle all the time. There is a way to do this. Some people might say, okay, well, why don't I just center this? Vertically center it. There we go. Which works within the confines of the box art, but the problem is that now you've got this giant space between this title and this box art. And this might be great for most people. You'd be able to, you still see the title and you still see the box art, but there is a way to automatically make it so that the box art will center and that the text will come with it. And that's what I'm going to show you right now. So the goal, and of course now I'm going to have to ruin what I just did here, is that we need to have a stack. And this stack needs to be in the position, I'm going to start by making it in the position of this box art. I'm going to copy the box art, I'm going to paste the layout. So now we at least have the layout. Oh, that is a bug I will tell Dave about later. Okay, so it's about there. And now I'm going to make it bigger so that it's sort of the size that I want it. And just to confirm that it is in the center, I'm going to right click the stack and I will align it to the middle right here. There we go. Perfectly aligned. I can even see that line telling me that, yes, I am in the center now. So now I have control over what I want to see inside of this stack. And I want everything inside the stack to be vertically in the center and horizontally in the center. So let's start with the box art. So now that box art is perfectly in the center. I can auto size the width, so it's going to auto size to the full length of the stack. But the height, I'm going to also auto size, but give it a maximum size that I don't want it to go over this size, just stop at this size, even if there is more room to grow. And I'm not entirely sure what it is, so I'm just going to play around. I'll start with 1,000. And the way that I'm going to figure this out is actually by going to almost any other system here. Here's a great one, and I know that I have Adventure Island 2. That's a great game. It also has a really nice background here for me. Okay. So that's what 1,000 looks like. That's pretty good. It's filling up a lot of the space. That's what 1,100 looks like. Also good. Might actually be a little bit too big. So I'll half the difference. Okay. So now I'm going to grab the title and I'm going to place it in here. And I actually have control now over how far I want the title to be from the box art. So with this margin number, so I'm going to start with 50. Not too bad. Oh, and also I've got to auto size the width and the height. Let me think about this. And I could do this and I could center it. Yeah, I think that's okay. So let's take a look. Now if I make the index disappear. So that's pretty good. And you can see the invisible box if I hover over here on the space that I have to work with. I think we'll be okay. We're going to have to find out. But what does that actually do now? Because I did it this way, I can now switch back over to the Super Nintendo. And you'll see that both of those elements should center themselves and proportionally separate from themselves. So they should have the same space between the title and the box art. So no matter what size box art, should just work. Oops. So what happened when you looked in the manual and then came back into the video, Alex? Okay, so yeah, it's something I can ask. Maybe it's by design and maybe we want it to be paused, but I'll ask. Okay. Now let's add the rest of the elements here. And let me just look at what those exactly are. It basically says it's by Blue Sky Software, which sounds like the developer. And then, of course, publisher Sega. Released, and then it gives the release date. Can we do that? Sure, let's do that. So we'll do a text. What we're going to need to accomplish that is basically a string. Well, we can use a doc for this. So I'm going to bring down the doc. I'm going to position the doc inside the stack. And now I'm going to start pasting my text in there. So here's the first text, and that text is just going to be the word bye. Now I'm going to make this text. What should I make this text? Can't really tell what it is. I mean, let's just go with a basic. One of these guys. I can either do with the regular one or I can go thinner. Let's try with the regular one. Let's position this 25. Don't forget to auto size your text to make it centered. Oh, the doc. The doc also has to be auto sized. And then we'll center this guy. There you go. And so now I can just keep putting stuff in here. Copy the text. We'll paste it. So this one is the word bye. This one will be the developer. I'll just put metadata. There you go. And Andy Johnson, thanks for stopping by. Hope you have a good weekend as well. And I hope you have fun digging around the new Android release. Definitely let us know how you feel about it. Okay, so now we're going to switch over to the metadata and actually bring up the developer. There we go. Now production. And we can control the space using the margins. Usually something like 10 is pretty good. So there you go. By now production. And we'll just keep going. I believe the next letter is just this. I don't know if I can name it that. Yes, I can. There you go. And we'll do... What does the next thing say? It says publisher Sega. So I'll paste that in there. I'll give it a good 10 margin on the left side there, and I'll say publisher. In fact, for some reason it's lowercase. Let's just match it. Publisher. And then next. This will be publisher, and the metadata version. Let's just go down to, there we go. Ooh, that's a lot of margin. That's a much better margin right there. Okay, we've got that all parsed together. It's by now production, publisher, Hudson Soft. I believe that's what it looks like. It does. Now let's do the second line. How's the colors looking? I believe that the colors are, could be wrong, a bit washed out. Let's make it a bit washed out. So I can take the whole dock and I can just make the opacity and reduce it down to 90 or something like that. Nothing crazy. Maybe, I'm gonna go crazy today. I'll make it 80. Now I'm gonna make a copy of this whole dock since I know that I'm gonna have another line below this. There you go. And this copy is going to say much less. But I can use all the stylings on all these layers and I can say released. And then it's just the date. So I can actually get rid of the rest. I'll go get a release date element. I'm going to put it right here. Released. We can delete the other ones. Let's get rid of that. Now we're going to have to match the styling of this. So we'll get the right font. All right, this font system, I don't talk about it enough, is quite ingenious by Dave. He spent a lot of work on this a while ago, and it basically reads the fonts installed on your computer, picks them, shows them, and then when you export them, it'll take those fonts and bundle them directly into your theme so that other people, when they view the theme, it'll automatically use those fonts without you needing to install them. It's 25, went a little bit too big there. Okay, so same size. We will auto size this as well, which means I need to put the 10 margin on that side, and there you go. Released Tuesday, January 1st, 1991. Usually January 1st because it's when we don't actually know what the date is. It is set to January 1st, but it was released in 1991. Now let me just double check the spacing. So there is a bigger spacing here between these ones. So let me do that. So this first dock up here, let's add a good 10, maybe 12. Let's take a look. There, does that look like the Android app, but just in a 4:3 aspect ratio? I think we're doing pretty good so far. So the last piece here is really this wheel. What are we wanting to do with this wheel? Well, a couple things that we can do. Because we can't actually see it, we're going to have to publish it just to see what the wheel looks like. There's a lot of properties in here, and maybe I'll spend a little bit of time talking about those properties, but the first thing that I'll say is that you can find a description of what these properties do within our documentation.pdf, which is inside of the themes folder, which is inside of our LaunchBox folder. But of course, we do want clear logos. It's already set to that. We don't want any curves. So curve amount is the amount that the wheel will curve. You can see that in themes like Unified and themes like that. You basically get the curved wheel. Camera Z position, or sorry, Z position, is where the camera is in relation to the actual graphic that's being rendered. So it's not if you got the camera here and then you've got your items actually here. The camera will move in, so the further in, the bigger it's going to appear. The further out, the image actually doesn't move. But the item Z position moves the actual item. So now the camera's stationed here and the items are kind of moving in and out. And then of course you've got the selected Z position, which is basically just the item that's selected will then now move closer to the camera or further away from the camera. And all the other items won't. So you can make the select item look bigger or smaller. Let's see, visible count. So this is the amount of items that's going to actually render. So let's say you had from the bottom to the top of your wheel, if you had like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, let's say you had 5 images, you know, as soon as you get sort of to that 6th image, that image doesn't appear. It's actually just blank, like nothing. So you want to make sure that this number is at least the amount that you need on the screen at any given time. And then, you know, give yourself a few buffers for people that are trying to scroll really quickly. Page size, this is actually the amount that your games will scroll when you hit that page up or page down button in Big Box. So 22 would mean that every time someone hits your page up, they were going to scroll 22 games at a time. And so you as a theme developer have the ability to control how fast people are paging through all of their game libraries. Spacing is just the spacing between every game. And the way that wheels work is that there's actually an invisible box in between each item. And so it's basically saying, well, how big do you want that box? So that you can make like the items, like the space in between those boxes. And then rotation is different than curve amount. Curve amount will make that curve, so it'll like curve your thing. But rotation will actually rotate each item a little bit to give that sort of like it's actually, I don't know, like a clock or something, like it's rounded. And then vertical resolution, this will render at a higher quality each item, so each clear logo in my case, or whatever image that you want, but at the expense of performance. So the higher that you want the quality to be, and it's basically the item cache. So the item cache will get built, and it's the quality of that item within your item cache, or the image within your item within your image cache. And so you got to strike a good balance there. I think, but 0, I'm not sure if that sets it to 0 or if that sets it to the default. The default, I think, is something like 300, maybe 400. And that gives it, you know, pretty good size. It's a pretty good balance. But I had to make it higher for things like banner box because you want it to see like a really nice giant banner, but in order for me to do that, you know, it's at the expense of performance, so it's not the most performant theme. And that's what all these properties are. That's what they do. However, these properties are part of our legacy wheel, which means that if you want to use the new wheel that we have in there, I'm just going to think, I'm pretty sure most of these items no longer apply, or you can't use most of these properties, or else I believe they will overwrite the new wheel. So keep that in mind. But at least that's what's in the theme creator right now is this our old wheel, and that's what we have to live with. So let's take a look. And saying that, look, Dave provided 3 different, I believe he calls these assists. where if you don't want to mess with this, be like, I just want a vertical wheel. So I just click there and it's going to change this to try to make it look pretty good. So we'll start there. We'll start with Dave's assist, and then we will see what it looks like when we export it. So let's save that out, and let's see if we did a good job of making this look like the Android app. So publishing the theme. What would I call it? Simple new theme. Let's jump back into LaunchBox. There it is. And let's boot up Big Box. Okay. We should be able to find our theme in our managed themes. You will have a lot less of themes than I do. I do have probably more than I need. Oh, I called it Simple New Theme. I passed it. There it is. Simple. Oh, and thanks, Cbeats. Yep. That's what I mean. I'll just read it because you say it more elegantly than I do. Most of the legacy stuff works with the new stuff, but it will overwrite some of the new ways of doing things and doesn't have as much control as you have now with the new stuff. So they conflict with each other, some of those properties. All right, let's see. So you can see that because I set the theme to 4:3, it actually will, even though I'm on a 16:9 screen, it will conform it. It'll keep it 4:3. And that's due to a file inside of the theme called theme settings .xml, where you can sort of force it to a 4:3 aspect ratio. The theme creator will do that for you. All right, so let's take a look at our platforms. And we're going to jump into a couple games. So we've got the Nintendo. Of course, this is just the default theme because I did not create a platform view yet. It just kind of pulls. There you go. And you can see it kind of flickered in. But look at that. Actually, that Dave's assist, came through. Look at that. Imagine I'm scrolling through my Android app, and boom, Aladdin, let's play. And you got the stuff on this side, it's the box art, it's staying centered. The items on the bottom staying centered or proportionately away from the box art, no matter what size. I mean, let's test that. Let's go to Nintendo 64. Maybe I want to play some Banjo-Tooie or something. Look at that. It's or Diddy Kong Racing. This is one of my guilty pleasures. What a great game Diddy Kong Racing was. It's like Mario Kart on steroids with different types of karts and characters and a giant story that you have to go through. I'm a sucker for story. I'm the guy that will play. I do feel like I want to position the boxes a little over, but that should be easy enough. I'm the guy that'll play Mario Tennis on the handhelds for the story more than for the actual tennis. But pretty cool. I can see because I didn't make the, I didn't have to make the clear logo so giant. It gives me more space that I can move over the box a bit. And we should be good to go. Look at that. Now there are some problems that as a theme developer I would want to tackle, and I can show you how. When you enter into the platform, it'll actually load all of those static texts first before it'll load any of the metadata stuff. So you can see here the text by publisher, all that stuff is sitting in the middle of nowhere until the rest of it loads. And there's a few different ways that you can tackle that. I feel like the best way would be the visibility conditions in the community theme creator. Let's test that out though. I might be wrong. And we can actually test this here, because as you change games, you should see, this stuff load first and then it loads there. And that's basically what it's doing. So let's go in there and see if visibility conditions can solve that for us. So it's basically this constant value that's going to be rendered first before it can find this release date. And that's really the problem that we're seeing. Okay, so what do I mean by visibility conditions? It means that I can go into here and I can wonder if I can use basically anything. Okay, so let's say I'll have this always collapsed, but make it visible. I may or may not be able to do this. Let's say I did the publisher metadata text. Oh, is this going to say an exact text? Yeah, that's not what I want. Okay. Maybe I can do this backwards. Make it visible, but make it collapsed when that contains nothing. So it only shows it once it's loaded something into it. Look at that. Release is gone, but it didn't bring it back. Okay. Let's switch that. Maybe it's not. Nothing. Maybe it actually has to be null. There you go. It has to be null. So now if I switch, of course that didn't work either. Okay, so that was one test, which is obviously not working. A second idea that I can think of, and I'm sure Dave will remind me when he watches this. But another idea I have is just use some animations. Since there's no kind of loaded functionality, something that says only display when this has been loaded, which is sort of what I was going for here. Let me see if I can tie this to an actual metadata field. So in this case, I mean, I can tie this to anything. So we'll stick with publisher. We'll start with that, see if that works. Oh, we got a winner. Here we go. So when the metadata is loading, it virtually doesn't have anything in it, therefore it won't show anything. And then when we load in, when it loads the metadata, then all of a sudden, presto, that static value does load. In saying that, now let's just apply that exact same visibility condition for the rest of these static values. Now, or what he calls them, constant values. And what you can do is you can see that there's a section here called appearance, and it's got that visibility condition in there. So what I'll do is I'll just make a copy of that, and then I'll go here and say, okay, we've got publisher, so I'm going to paste the appearance to that one. I can see some margins changing as we do this. I know Dave was messing around with that, trying to fix it for me. It's okay. I'll just remember to change it for now, or double check. So appearance again, and the by is also static. So appearance, and now I'm just going to check. There should be 10. There should be nothing. Should be 10. Should be 10. Perfect. Okay, let's see if there's absolutely nothing until it loads. Black, and then everything's there. Black, and then everything should be there. Okay, so that simulates down here. And Alex, you think you might start messing around with this theme program? Are there any other programs that you need to have pre-installed for it to work? The only program you need to have installed for this to work is Big Box, or LaunchBox, basically, right? So because it's a Big Box themer, you do have to have, obviously, LaunchBox installed, which installs Big Box automatically, and then a license. I mean, you don't necessarily need a license, but then you can actually test out your themes. So yeah, definitely play around. I'd love to see what you can come up with. And I don't fully understand your suggestion there. Right? Your main suggestion is Simplicity Paranoid Android. Is that the suggestion for the app? For the app name, Simplicity Paranoid Android. All right, so we solved that. Now, the last sort of thing that I'd want to think about is, okay, do we want to do anything fancy? Do we want to do any animations? Do we want to, give it that big box polish? And there's a couple things that we can do to make that happen. And I'm just going to do some basic stuff. The wheel, as an example, when people load into the game wheel, do we want it to do something? Well, we could say something like, immediately when this page is loaded or this view is loaded, take the opacity from 0% and then go up to 1%, and we're going to start this and let's take a second and a half to get it all loaded. I might regret that decision, but let's keep that for now. And then for the stack, so everything inside of this parent item, I want immediately to move up and down from a new location. And if I remember this right, so the way that these locations work is actually in the top left corner. So this corner tells it what the rest of the position is. So this is basically, I don't know, not very far down, right? It starts at 0 here, so I don't know, 100 and something it's at right here. So I'm going to say I want it to be bigger than that. So 200. And then I want it to just stay there for now. Okay. So begin there. And then maybe at 1 second, move it from whatever current location it's in, which of course we positioned at 200, at location 200, and bring it back to whatever the defined location is, which is where you see it on the canvas. And I want that to take 0.5 seconds. And with this easing functionality, let's do some cubic eases of like an ease out or something like that. And we don't want it to repeat or anything. So immediately, that's when it'll get triggered. Now let me double check. Where is this located? We are at Y position 80. Okay, so I was off by about 20. Which means I probably want this to be 150, something like that. Don't want it to move that much. Just that slight move. I also want to add some opacity to this, which I can just add to this actually. So I can say, you know, at 0 seconds, I want the opacity to be nothing. From whatever just to nothing. And then at also 1 second, I want to match that and just say, make half a second, just zoom in for me. So it's going to just look like it's slightly moving up when the page loads. Now I can test this animation one of two ways. Either I've got this hidden menu at the top here, and they all have keys that you can click that are like Alt plus something. I can include animations with movement. So I could do Alt I. It does provide a performance hit, which is why it's off. There it goes. So you saw that. That's basically what's going to happen every time somebody loads in. It's going to do, there we go. Not bad. And then it won't happen again. Just one time. Good enough for me. And then the background, right now what it'll do is it'll just change statically from one image to the other. What we could do is make it fade out while people are selecting something and then fade in when they finally make it to an item. Trying to think, because when it's faded out, the screen will just go black, and maybe that's not what I want. Yeah, we'll keep it simple. This is good enough for me. And because it's big box, let's see what it would take to create another game view. But before that, let's take a look at what this would look like if I made this a 16:9 theme. So you can see here, it made the wheel a bit wider. It made this the same, but positioned it away. And made the background conform to the space that I wanted to have. So not bad. Not bad if I decided to make this modular. Let's bring it back to 4x3. And there you go. The last thing that I forgot to do was, and this is just going to be eyeballing this thing, is I'm just going to move this in a little bit. Maybe one more. Okay, let's try that. All right, we'll do one last check before I start messing with this theme, because this theme is going to be the basis of all our other views or this view is going to be the basis of all the other views. So let's launch Big Box and see what we got. Okay. The Super Nintendo. Oh, wow, that did not work. Let's try that again. Did that not work? All right, I'll have to do that. I'll have to do that a different way. That's fine. Although, that was a little odd, right? So it is doing the animation, but it's for some reason positioning those items still there, not fading it out like it would have in the community theme creator. That's really cool. Rockin'. Enter a scrolling 3D world of fantasy. That's kind of scary when they say 3D world of fantasy. But everything's positioned well. Everything looks great. You know, can't complain. You know, looks really, really nice. I was scared of maybe like the centering that I did with the boxes, but yeah, it looks great. You know, want to play some Famicom Disk System Castlevania? You know, we gotcha. Let's take a look at this. You know, simple. Looking pretty good. Okay, so let me just double check. Yeah, I'll do something about that. Okay. Other than that, though, we're looking pretty good. We are going to come back here. I'm gonna take a look at the non-working visibility condition. And I might as well just get rid of that because that's not working. And instead, we will take the other approach just to make it a little more polished. Okay, so I got an idea. In order to accomplish this idea, I'm going to need a new stack. I'm going to have this stack auto size itself. Then I'm going to bring it down underneath the box art. Now I'm going to position the game title inside of here. Oh, the stack needs to be centered. Good. Now I'm going to put the dock inside of there. And this dock inside of there. And as long as nothing strange was... Oops, I put the dock inside of the dock. That's not what I wanted. There we go. Perfect. So it's basically in the same spot as it was before, and it's going to adhere. But now what I can do is I can take this stack and I can add an animation to it. So I can basically say, hey, immediately, just don't show it. You know, just make it 0%. But then maybe 1 second in, let's see, 1.5 5 seconds in, take 0.5 seconds and I want you to just fade in. Yeah, I don't need one of those. So current opacity to 100%, which is good. Now, what I can also do is I can also say, if I want to get really fancy, say, so at 0 seconds, move it up and down as well, and stick yourself into a position that's like 50 away. Let's say 60 away from its position. So it's going to take this location, which I believe because it's in a stack, it's actually just 0. And so push it down 60. And now at 1 second, I want you to move it up from its current location to its defined location, have it take 0.5 seconds, and then have this cubic ease out. What did I just do? Let's find out. I have no idea. I made it disappear forever. Ooh. Okay, well, what did I actually do there? Okay, immediately 5.5 seconds, current opacity 100%. Yeah, that should be right. And then current location, define location. Yeah, that should be right. Oh, well, that seemed to go right. Okay, let's find out. Huh, this is showing right, but the actual animation here is not. Bet it's this. Let's just double check. All right, define location. That was the problem. Okay, so basically if I change this, actually I'm gonna have to jump right in to just see what I did. Turn on animations. Well, it's not adhering to the movement animations, maybe because it's in a stack, although I don't think that was a problem in another theme that I had. But I'll bring that up. Looks good though. Looks good, and it solves the problem that I was having. So I'll leave that in for now. And we're basically done. But how about if I wanted to go even crazier? How if I wanted to have something that the Android release doesn't, like video? What could I do? Well, I can just create a copy of this theme. I'm going to paste it in our second view here, making an exact copy. And what I can do is I can go in here and just make one change. Let's add the video. So it's selected item video. We're going to place it in the same spot as the box art. Now the problem is that the box art can't inhabit the same space as the stack. So let's use one of these new parent elements that he created called canvas. This is a good one. At least I hope it's a good one. And we're going to put the box art in there, although, canvas. I might not want this one. I might want to go with the grid. So let's go with the grid because it doesn't have the auto sizing. There we go. And we'll just auto size to whatever the contents is. So in first glance, nothing will be different. It'll be exactly the same. But now that I have the grid in there, I can now put the item video in there without, or to take the same space as the box art. Now, one thing that everybody loves is to keep that aspect ratio. There you go. That's a good question, Jay. What does canvas do, and why is there something called canvas when it looks like it'll do something exactly like the grid? And what it'll actually do is allow you to do, so think of the canvas of, you can think of it like the canvas is basically the same as a grid. It does similar things. Really, the benefit that you'll get out of it is that you can have items inside of a canvas that exceed the size of itself. And what that means is, so let's say I have a canvas here and I want it to have something inside of it like, doesn't even matter. So like an image, and I want that image to be something, another box front, and I want this image to be inside of this canvas. Well, what you can do is you can see that now that's inside the canvas, it thinks of it as its like restrictive area, but you can turn off the lock that we have on, lock to canvas. And now I can place this anywhere, right? And so I can have something like giant, and then I can say, okay, now the item that's inside of anything inside of me, clip to my area. And so now this canvas will only show the stuff that's inside of it, no matter what it is. Now, what's great about this is that you can actually, so let's say you wanted to create a wheel, because the actual full size of the background, so like the area in the background is actually a canvas as well. So what you can do now is you can create a giant wheel much larger than your canvas size, and then you can position that wheel anywhere, allowing you to do like offset wheels if you want. So instead of having the wheel item appear in the center, you can have it appear off to the left or to the right or something like that. And that's how people get that effect when you see themes like that. They just made a wheel that's just giant. And that's just because we don't, if I remember correctly, we don't currently have a way to do this with code. We can't just say, I want the item, the selected item to be, off by one item to the left or to the right or something. There's no property like that in the wheel. So this is how people kind of do it. And that's one use for it. Another use is just sort of like this. You can place items inside of it. I can take this item, I can rotate it if I wanted to. Of course, I can't rotate it now because it's, oops. There it is. I can rotate it. I can like, do something like that. You know, you can do some funky stuff with this canvas. That's kind of cool. All right, what were we doing? Selected item video. Oh, look at this. I can just move it anywhere. Let me lock this guy up. Okay. There we go. Okay. Whoa, okay. Don't want it to be larger, right? The stack will just grow as large as the largest item in here. So I'm trying to think. I don't think I can make this auto size, but I can make it as large as this, so 766. And that's just because at the moment, videos don't really know what its size is. So you can potentially make it smaller than its actual size. It does adhere to it once it's created it. So I'll do something like that. Okay, so it's the grid that's doing that. Let me double check. So I do want the video to be as large as the stack. So basically this, like 951. And of course the grid, I should make the grid that size as well. There we go. I'll make it a lot easier to have this that size. Oops. No negative value for you. And then, you know, might as well. Ooh, this is going to be a different one, isn't it? Okay. So let's position this. Videos are going to be a pain. You can see this box art's not going to be centered, and that's because we're going to have to actually center it within the grid itself. Okay, I think we're okay there. So far, so good. Just making sure. Alright, so how are we going to handle this? Let's do something fancy. Let's make it so that the video itself does not load right away. So we just got the same 0% opacity. What's great about the community theme creator is that if the video is hidden, or let's say it's collapsed or it's 0% opacity, that the content within the video is actually gets nulled out. So it doesn't have any value. And it doesn't load a video. So, you know, good on performance. It's not until that opacity gets a value like 0.01% or something that's when the video will load and cause a user's computer to have to load that content. So we can control when the video will start and control when that performance it happens. So immediately we're just going to have it 0, and then we're going to do some fancy stuff here. So this box art, I'm going to have it there. I'm going to make this actually above the video. I'm going to have it there, and then after a specific amount of time, let's say So immediately I just want it to be 100% scale, height, and width. Right, nothing fancy there, just say make it the height and width of it when you load in. And now what I want to do is I want to say after a specific time, shrink this to make it smaller. Which direction should it be shrinking? Well, that's what this actually point of origin section is that we normally ignore. This giant box. So I can say something like, okay, bottom left, shrink down to a specific size. And so I put it at the bottom left, and that's where it's going to shrink down this way. New, I'm going to say, what should I say actually? During selection, I want it to be so let's bring it back. During selection, we want it to be there. So we don't want it to be there at all, actually. So during selection, I want it to go back to its current scale. And I can control when that happens. So let me say do it at like 0.4 or something. Actually, I don't like that. Let's do it at 0.2 seconds. Let's scale it back from whatever its current width to its new one. And then we'll do the same thing here. Did I do start time at 0.2? Yeah. So 0.2, let's do height and do the same thing there. So I want it to grow back up, but then once selected, so we'll do a new one. Once selected, once somebody stops on a game, let's do a scale of a width. We will wait a bunch of time. So like after 5 seconds, is 5 seconds enough for you to glare at the box art? Start scaling down the width. You know, take a good amount of time to scale down. I want that effect to look really cool. 4 seconds. And I want it to cubic ease out would be wonderful. Shrink to 20% of its size. And I'm gonna have to do the same thing, but with height. There we go. That's gonna be funny. Wonder if that'll do it. No, I probably have to turn on. Oh, there it goes. That's so funny. Okay. I can see a problem with this. Trying to think of how I would solve that problem. Huh. It's fancy looking, but yeah, I mean, you're noticing quite a bit of problems with that. Okay. Let's see if I can solve this in the similar way. I don't know if I can, but we'll find out. I might just have to do a simple fade. This is a cool idea though. Okay, so let's use height and width current to defined. Okay, so far so good. During selection, I want it to go back to its defined height and width. In the background, I haven't added the opacity yet, but that's the goal, to do it in the background away from prying eyes. And then this is the one that'll tell us whether it's going to work or not. Current width to a new width of like 150. Let's not do width. Let's do height. I'm saying that now, but I'm probably gonna not like that. So from its current height to 150. Okay. We'll see what happens. Oh, I might have to turn on animations for this. Oh, okay. This happened last time too. Why did it happen? It's the width and height properties aren't very friendly inside of these things, are they? Okay, so let's take a look at what we saved. I think we saved most of it. All right, let's go down to like a... Yeah, so that would have been cool if we had a static size, but you can see that the items don't actually scale down to its size. Is it because of the grid? No, it's not because of the grid. I think it's because this technically is taking up the same height. That's why I was thinking change the height. But I think we're going to have to go another direction. So let's go the other direction. Let's go in here and make it so instead of doing the scaling, which, man, that would have been cool. Let's instead make it so that it just fades away. And so here we are with the selected item. We'll get rid of, actually, box art. Oop. We'll get rid of what we did there. And so let's do a fade. So immediately, opacity. And we'll still do it at 5 seconds. So maybe, you know, at opacity. So current opacity to 100%. I also want to do up and down. This should be fine. During selection, let me think about this. I want to position this item during selection, so the opacity will be 0%. And then up or down, I want the position to be the current location. I mean, I can control when I want this to happen, 0.2 seconds. I want this to happen to move to negative 50. This might not actually work, but that's fine. And then once selected, I want to do two things. The first one is the opacity come back in. Take a very short time to do that. Maybe 0.3. Then after 5 seconds, I want you to fade out and take really not very long, 0.5 seconds to fade out. Good, and at the same time, I want at 5 seconds to move down. From its current location to maybe 50 downwards. Also take 0.5. Okay, that means that immediately I want this to be at -50. I feel like that's what we set it at, right? Let's see. Yes. Okay, that may or may not work, but at least the opacity does work. Let's go back to the selected item, and we want to make it so immediately don't want it to be there. And then during selection, I want the current opacity to be 100%. Yeah. Let's fade that in really quickly. And then once selected, fade out. And then at 5 seconds, fade in. Lots of animations going to go on. Let's see if it actually did what it needed to do. Okay, so we got something going on and it seems to be okay. I'm just holding this down. The video should be there, and then when I stop, it should fade out to the image, and then after a specific amount of time, there goes the image, and in comes that. That was surprisingly not at the right time, but let me see what I did. Yeah, should be the right time. Might have just been a visual bug. Yep. Okay. So yeah, as an alternate view, this one's not too bad. Interesting to see a couple things. Overall, I actually don't like the results of this, to be honest. Let me change that. Let's simplify this. I mean, this is a simple theme. Let's just make the box a static size. And that size. Oh. Will be something tiny. Okay, so far so good. And we're just going to position the box in the corner over to the right. All right. And we're going to take the drop shadow and we're going to position it over the video. Like so. And then we are going to take the selected item video and we're going to give it. Let's see if I can do this without messing with this. No, it did mess with it, but I can fix that. Okay, 1, 0. No, it's the selected item. Let's see if I can just click it back into action here. There, I have to move it. Okay. Just a visual bug there. Let me save that so we can get that visual bug gone. $12.68. There we go. Oh, I see. I see what the problem is. It should be 951, but it added a whole bunch. There we go. Cool. So I think we're pretty good here. I'm going to make it so the box art does fade away after a specific amount of time. So immediately I do want it to be there. During selection, I do want it to not be there. And once selected, I want it to fade in after only about 0.25 seconds. And then after 8 seconds or so, fade yourself out. Cool. All right, something simple like that. Hopefully I have it wide enough to support the other size boxes. I do want to make sure that I've got it at the bottom and to the right, so that's always in that corner. Things are looking pretty good. The only other thing that I would want to mention is that because the box size can't be auto-sized, what you will need to do, or the video can't be auto-sized, what you will need to do is switch over to a theme that will be something like this, and you can see the difference there. It's not bad. I might just accept that. Might just accept that for now. Nah, let's not accept that. Let's create a second item video and do the same thing that we did last week. Wonderful. Both of them got messed up again, so let me really the size. We'll put this to 0. There we go. So we want this to be 951. but we want the height be something like that. And then what we want is we want to say that this one is collapsed, but will only be visible when the other selected item video's visibility is collapsed. And then we'll put all the visibility conditions on this one. And that's basically saying two different things. I want this to be collapsed unless, let's say, the release date. Can't do that. I would have to do a value. So let's just create some values so we know. Actually, I already did this. So here's a trick. I did this in Modern X theme already. So I'm going to jump back into it, go into my wall view, and steal that property. Or steal those values, I should say. Right here. Should all be in this one. Look at that. So I'll copy that, switch back to my other theme. Now we're going to place the, I believe it's the appearance in there. All right, so now I've got to switch this 961, 951, I guess. There we go. Okay. And that should all be there. Now there is one that doesn't work, and that's this one. Although it's there, what I can actually do is create another release date, but make this one only show the year. Collapse this guy so it's never shown. Put that off to the side there. Okay, so this guy's collapsed, opacity and all that good stuff is gone. And now I can just reference it in my conditions here. So this release date number 2, basically say, hey, if the text contains, is equal or greater than something like 2008. So if the release date of a game is 2008 or greater, use this video for widescreen. And it'll cover most systems, I guess. Okay. Getting some awkward results, but oh, I don't have a video for that. You can see what the awkward results are in, let's say, this video. Oh, the video is not playing at all. Okay, there it is. So it's not adhering to the stack for some reason. That's interesting. Nope, why did I just do that? That was the wrong value. Oh, Dave, are you really round? He says use defined. Ah. Am I actually doing that still? Or did I get rid of all that stuff? Apparently current doesn't work for an immediate action. There we go. And that could be a number of problems there. Okay, good, good, defined, good, new. I think that covers it. Let me just double check here. New. How's that? How's that? I think I just got rid of them all. And welcome, Dave. Hopefully you're having a good afternoon. And Harry, hope you're doing good today. Glad you're able to stop in. You're sorting your Specky collection. I think we're doing okay here. So, interestingly, this is showing... Oh, I see what's happening. Both videos. And Dave, you're waiting to board your flight. Hopefully you have a good flight. I guess it's not a very long one for you. Okay, so other than that, it's not adhering to its stack formation at all. I think we're doing pretty good. Let's see what this grid is. So the height is 0. Okay, so this should work better. There we go. And now I just got to do the same thing for the box. It added an extra 180 to both elements. Ooh, okay, that's going to get complicated. You know what? I'm just going to get rid of that whole thing to make it less complicated. Let's get rid of the box. Let's make this a video only. Hey, Nally, hopefully you're having a good time today. It is Friday. Let's make this the video only, so this should work pretty good now. There we go. So we've got a box art version and a video version that will stay centered, or should anyway. Neil. Neil's already waiting for his version 2.2, Dave. You've been slacking. Look at those Philips CDI games. Okay, so other than that, I think we've got the 2 views done. This is pretty good. And we can basically easily port this first one over, or should be able to the platform view. Let's see how long that'll take. Now let's take a look. What does the platform view look like? There we go. So you've got the big banner sort of graphic, and then title. I guess that's manufacturer, and then release date. So let's see how we can modify that. So we've got the box. The box is going to be set to 150. I'm going to bring this down a bit to 750. Oh, that's not enough at all, is it? 900. It's a little bit better. Okay, so we'll set it to that. We're going to change the box art to banner. Yeah, okay, that's good. Oh, you can see that I may not need a condition there, but sure. Let's just put one in just in case. A lock. Okay, so let's take a look. So game title now becomes platform name. I don't need the buy. I don't need... So I just need one of these. Oop. And then developer now becomes... Actually, it's still developer, isn't it? Oh, Harry, you're gonna make some startup videos that they can be implemented in Android, and oh man, Dave already has plans for you, Harry, to do a video, I guess, for a theme. All right, I think the bottom is basically exactly the same. Yeah, there you go. I think we are at exactly what this would look like. There is a background, so instead of a background, we're going to make it so that the background will just play a random background image for for the platform. But other than that, yeah, we're done that view. And so the only other view is this guy. Let's do that one quickly. And we're gonna use this as a starting point. We talked about it. See, I don't 100% remember what we talked about for which theme. But I'm sure it was a good one. Okay, so for this text list view, we're basically going to do the exact same theme, it looks like, with a text list. There we go. Oh, and look, we can add an extra little thing at the top there. Not 100% liking that idea, but let's do that. Let's do that. So we'll bring this out. We're going to change the size to 25. No, we're going to change the size to 50. Ooh, now we're getting too big. Split the difference. What do we got here? So the size of the text looks all right. The font, kind of not great. So let's just switch to this. Okay. It's a bit better. Now we're going to need to probably create our own preset here. I'm going to base it off of preset number 8. And we're going to do text games preset. We're going to paste the code in there. And now we have control over the background. I have to remember what I saw there. Okay, so I saw white and the white was faded out. So let's go with white and the white was faded out, maybe 30 to 30%. Let's get rid of that. Okay, wow, 30% is way too bright. 10% was not enough. Okay. 15 it is. Okay, so far so good. Now we need a little bit of padding between the items. Now I'm pretty sure I have to do this in the code, so let me jump into the code and I'm going to add some padding here. So padding 0, 10, 0, 10. Okay, now we're looking a little bit more like this image here. Let me just double check. Okay, so now we're just going to look at how many items we have here. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18. So I do want to make the text bigger to get rid of that Adventures of Magic Kingdom. That's better. Okay, so now it's an odd number, which means that there is a center to this list. You want a book video. See, I'm still not 100% sold that that video would work. Because I think the idea, Harry, was that so I would have like a book or magazine in this case, and the platform view would basically be its magazine cover. And then when I go into a game view, then we would play a video, and that video would do something like the magazine would open up, or the camera would zoom in to it or something. I guess it would open up. And then the video would fade away, and you would see the view, and the view would be the magazine open with all the information in there or something. I don't know. I'm not sure how that would exactly work. Feels like we're missing some pieces. It would look like an old like 90s video where it badly opened up the magazine, and then there would be a video, and then it would like switch back to a static image, and you could plainly see the change. You would have to create here's what would have to happen, Harry, for this to do it. You would need to make a video, okay, have the magazine open up or whatever on, let's say, a blank desk, and then you would have to send me the picture. Let's see how we do this. You would have to send me the photo of the graphic of the same magazine, and then you would have to and the background, maybe in different layers, so that I can create a view that looks exactly the same as the video that you made, so that transition would actually be good. And then I can use that to try to build the actual view with all the graphics and stuff, all the metadata and images. If you do that, then it potentially could work. Now we're just dealing with having to have a video play every time you open up that particular game view. And Alex, yeah, see, you gotta have that attention to detail, right? Like here's an example right here. This text is too long, so what do? It's cutting off. So there is something that you can do here. Character ellipsis, and that'll at least give me some sense of that there's more that it's not telling me. Or you can do wrapping, so you can say, okay, well, why don't I wrap this instead, and then now you've got the word on a second line. That's an idea. I tend to like the having everything just like one line. Right. You'd have to create a static with it open, and then I'd have to design like the elements to go on top of it to make it work. But yeah, Harry, if you want to do that, send me. If you do want to create that, I will build it. If you build it, I will build it. How about that? And then everybody will get to benefit from it. All right, the last piece of the puzzle here, pretty sure it's the last piece of the puzzle, is to create, and I guess I can put it up here, that final text up at the top. Let's try to pick the same font. What if we made it bold, but we made it faded out? Like it's different, but the same. Make it big. Of course, metadata, and we're making this the game platform. So tell me what platform you're on. Okay, we will also make this auto size, so it'll just get as big as whatever it wants. And we should have enough space for that. And then I will fade this bad boy out to a good 50%. Let's see how it is. I like it even less than that. Although, what I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to make it less, and then I'm going to have to put a drop shadow just in case we've got way too much of a background. Something like that. I can hardly see the... Okay, well... I may have went a little too far with that. Let me just do game platform name. So that'll change if the game's platform will change. And now we will bring in the opacity a little bit, I think. Okay. And there you have it. I think we basically managed to do everything that we needed to do, except for one more view. And hey, I might as well do that last view just to show you what's going on. I'm going to take the platform wheel and I'm going to create the text filters view. So the view that needs to be there by default, basically a platform text view. And I'm going to grab Can I grab the style from this? Do I have to copy it? Let's see how much I can copy over. Okay, so let's see what I can do. So here, I'm going to paste the layout. In fact, I might make the layout a bit different. I want this to maybe be centered or aligned to the middle. Anyway, and then what else do I have to paste in here? Do I have to paste wheel? I'm not even sure. There you go. Paste the text. we'll take the text games, just use the same one. Which means, can I paste selected item? Maybe I can't. So I'll just set this. This shouldn't be too hard. I believe I did 15. Oh no, this is the selected item. 100%, and then the background will be white at 15%. Okay, and now this would have made it really wide. That's about right. Okay, I think we're basically good. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 17 or whatever. At least it's an odd number. So there is a center. Oh, I can see that there's center at ColecoVision. Just align it a little bit better. Okay, that's good. And we should have almost a complete replica of this one view in a big box theme. Now the question is, does this look just as good as a 16:9 version? So let's take a look at 16:9 version. All right, not bad. Let's look at a 16:10 version. Seems to be scaling pretty good. So what I can actually do is release this as a stretched theme, which means it will stretch to the size of your monitor and it should conform to them pretty well. So if somebody wanted to use this on a 4:3, it should work. If somebody wants to use it on a 16:9, it should work as well. Let's just confirm some of these wheel views. So, because I created it for 4:3 and then converting it to 16:9, it will look best on 4:3, but will still work on 16:9. But good. I think we did a good job. Now I just have to pick a name. I don't know. Should I pick the name that was suggested earlier? Should I pick another one? Let me know. And I will pick, I don't know, I'll pick a random one. And then I will release this theme next week. All right. I think we went a bit longer than I thought, but theme looks good. I'll release it, hopefully early next week. But until then, hopefully you guys have a good bit of fun this weekend. Play around with the Android app, play around with the update to LaunchBox and Big Box. Got some fun stuff, and we got some fun stuff coming down the pipeline already being worked on. Thank you everybody for watching this week, and we'll see you guys. We'll see you guys shortly. Yeah. All right, take care everybody.